Welcome, Max here from Obstacle Races New Zealand. What you're about to listen to now is an interview with Maria Bentley, and she was the second place elite female athlete at the first ever Ultimate Athlete race, which took place in Mount Maunganui. She walked away with $1,000 cash for second place. We're going to find out, who she is, what she's done, all about her. So this interview was intended to be released as text on the Obstacle Races New Zealand website, to type it up and release it as a written form, and I'm still planning to do that. I'll release both this audio version and the text version, but I wanted to release this audio too because it's just easy to get out there. It's quite an interesting conversation, and the idea of doing a podcast actually is something that this has sparked in my head to do, an Obstacle Races New Zealand podcast, because there is some interesting people out there in New Zealand OCR to interview, to talk to, and some cool events to talk about and some topics to talk about. So perhaps that'll come in the future. There's a lot to work on from this interview. There's a lot of like dead air and just basic mistakes, I guess. So bear with us as we do this unplanned first podcast, which may become a podcast one day. We'll see. If we do it, it might be good to get a second host, maybe besides myself, someone who is good at talking and can bring in more color to the podcast. And feel free to get in touch if anyone has any experience doing podcasts or editing audio or that sort of thing, because it's all quite new to me. So for this interview, Maria just jumped straight into talking. I quickly hit record on our conversation we had previously, so it's a bit jarring in the jump in, but give it a listen, see what you think.
And I thought, that looks like something good and different to do. So I started, how am I going to train for it? And I'm not a member at a gym anymore. I used to do a bit of CrossFit stuff and that kind of thing. But just started going to playgrounds and just adding in a few different bits and pieces. You go for a run, basically it was sort of based at the hospital. So I would run around the lake outside the hospital, which is about just under 4K as a warm up. And then, just go and hang on the monkey bars and climb over, just the kids' playground stuff. And mimics under and overs and bear crawls and things, and then run again. And it's like this. It was good because it's when you're just running, you tend to get you can get bored, but more that I was kind of sick. I've always been getting niggly injuries and stuff, and this was a way to mix it up as well. And then it was, but I didn't. And then it was postponed until June, and I thought, June's going to be freezing. I want to race in June on the beach. But actually, it turned out really well because it meant you got an extra 3 months training. Plus, it was actually still really warm. Yeah. It was still really hot on the day. We were. There was no way I probably could have worn a t-shirt. I needed water as soon as I crossed that finish line. It was good fun. Really good fun.
No, that's good.
I wasn't expecting Lydia O'Donnell to be, And that was probably actually the biggest thing was, that said, here's this elite race and come and do it. Because, the prize money was very attractive. But he had absolutely no idea who else is doing this, who else is coming along. And so there was a bit of a mix. And then I saw Lydia before the start, and I've known Lydia for years. I was like, oh, bugger, there we go. There goes first. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I really enjoyed it. It was cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. There's obviously a lot involved in organising an event like that too. It was.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. The logistics, phenomenal.
I need to ask you a lot more questions about it. So I was thinking what I'd do for the interview is what I have done in the past, a few years ago, interviewing people was just doing it as a written interview. So usually I have a conversation and then type it up and just publish it as a written one, rather than putting out a video or a podcast or anything. It's not. So I think I'll do that. I think I'll just hit record on our conversation and then just type it up.
No problem.
So I used to ask you about Ultimate Athlete and your experience in that, and then ask you some general questions and find out more about you. And
No worries.
I was trying to do a little bit of research online, trying to Google your name, and couldn't find too much on you to learn more about you. But you're a physio, is that right?
I am a physio. Yep. most of my background's been in musculoskeletal private practice. And in recent years, because I also started doing PhD as well, in recent years I moved more into the sort of more functional rehab side of things, where I'm out in the community with people who are maybe more seriously injured. They've been off work because of a particular injury. Like, for example, they may have been in a car accident, they've got more than one injury, and so you're actually seeing them in their home and working with a multidisciplinary team to not just get them back to daily function, and then once they're independent again, helping them get back to work. But there's lots of different contracts. Most of them are through ACC or private work insurers. The likes of the DHB and Frontier, they're insured under Work Aon, so the contracts come through them as well. But then there's a couple of different ones. There's one at the moment that I'm doing a bit of work on over in Thames, so travel quite a bit as well. Over in Thames with what's called the Hauraki Trust, which is a facility. There's multiple houses that are homes to people who've had very long-term traumatic brain injuries or other intellectual disabilities, and so helping making sure that their mobility plans and things are safe, and that they're trying to maintain their independence as much as possible as well. So that's been quite interesting. So I've had quite a bit of a mix there. And then so this, I've been doing that kind of stuff for a few years, but when I finished PhD 18 months ago or so, I managed to get a role with the Midland Trauma System, doing some research using the Trauma Registry, which looks at the major traumas. So if you have an incident of some description, whether it's a car accident, fall off a ladder, break your leg playing rugby, or you fall off an obstacle in an obstacle race and break an ankle, something like that, and you actually end up in hospital and admitted to hospital, where there's a registry that collects all kinds of data, which you can get really, really interesting insights and information on. So I had a bit of a sit there, but healthcare system is limited with funding, and so unfortunately it was just a fixed term role, but I really enjoyed it, and it was a fascinating insight into another side of our health system here in New Zealand, which, as we know, is struggling in every aspect. So quite a mixed bag.
Okay, wow. Yeah, because I was wondering, I guess to ask you about your opinion on it, that I guess before I did obstacle racing, I did parkour.
Oh, cool.
Like, as a teenager, but just the idea of that being about, multiple movements. Sort of like obstacle racing, it's running, jumping, climbing, crawling. So I've always been quite interested in the idea of like functional fitness and being
in the natural environment.
And the idea of being a generalist in movement rather than getting highly specialized. And but is that something in your opinion that could help with, injury prevention?
Certainly now for me, I did, I grew up playing netball. I've always run. I was always a member at an athletics club right from, when you're 4 years of age. And netball was really big for me during most of my school years. Repeated ankle sprains though, so I have actually had both my ankles reconstructed because they were just loose as a goose, so to speak. But they're coming all right now. They're not great, but they do what I need them to do. And then I did get quite competitive with distance running for a while, half marathons in particular, and I think it was the 2009 Wellington half marathon, because I lived in Palmerston North at the time back then, and I trained. I just followed one training program that was by a colleague of mine who's an exercise physiologist, and ended up winning the Wellington half marathon in pretty decent time. And but I wasn't registered with a club, and when I crossed the finish line, I thought I was just a 10k runner finishing. I didn't realise it was me, and so there was actually some media in the news. They called me the dark horse, so I knew who I was. But anyway, from that, obviously that was a success, and I carried on to do a bit more, but I started just getting injured all the time, and the combination was that I sat quite a lot during my day because I was doing some lecturing, so I was doing quite a lot of computer stuff and started PhD, so I was sitting a lot during the day doing computer work, and then going up and running And I started just getting hamstring tendon problems, the same kind of thing as an Achilles tendon problem. But, sitting is really painful. Being in a car is really painful. Going out to a cafe, sitting and having a cup of coffee, you're just so stiff getting up. And so running was really put on the back burner for a while. And then I got into more sort of CrossFit type stuff and just, functional movement, and when all I did was run, I couldn't squat below 90 degrees. I couldn't even squat to about 70 degrees because my hips and everything was so tight, wasn't utilizing my glutes properly because all I did was run, and got injured. And then I found once I could move better and actually had some strength, and I didn't because I was very light as well at the time, and actually had built a bit of muscle, and I wasn't going to fall over in the wind anymore, and that was a really empowering thing as well. And certainly from a long-term health perspective, when we look at the importance of actually having, if you run, you're not really using your arms for much. But certainly once we get older and, particularly as a woman goes through menopause, and then you trip and have a fall, you fracture a wrist, things are going to go backwards for you quite quickly. So it's quite important to make sure that you're strong all over and that you function all over, and even just little things, and I guess as you get older you start to think of these things a bit more. And when I'm seeing it with clients that I work with, it's like, am I going to have the strength to open up a can or a tin with my hand, because I've never used them, I've never used any grip strength stuff before. So functional stuff, it's really important. And again, when I think it was about 2018, I decided to give running a good a bit of a good crack again, distance running, and sure enough, tried to follow a plan, but my hamstrings, even though I was still doing strength work for them, they weren't strong enough to tolerate, the loads of a lot of fast stuff. And then of course, that was another year out of running for me, and all I could do was to get that fix that I needed to be fit and healthy and have a good workout, and the adrenaline you get from that was stair climbing. And there's a really good set of stairs out here in Ngāruawāhia that I can tell you how many times I've been on it, but there's just under, I think there's 1,400 odd stairs just straight up. And it's in the bush, which is really good mental health wise as well, because you're out in the bush, there's loads of other people out there. And so I spend a lot of time on that. So I love hills, I love stairs, but that didn't aggravate my pain. So that was the hamstring pain, which was great. And then when I saw the obstacle race advertised, I thought, I think that's my bag. So I thought I'll get stuck into that. So I always kept up things like push-ups and things. I did things like that. So I was like, I'm surely I can move things along. And most of the, Ultimate Athlete, most of the obstacles were actually completely fine. The only one that really caught me out was the monkey bars. We're still all right. So functional, absolutely. And the more you move it, the better off you're going to be, because it does, you do lose it. You do lose your capacity to be able to move, and all the other effects that has on, negative effects that can have on your health. It just goes so quickly. And it does still surprise me, the amount of people that just don't move much on a daily basis. It's a bit scary.
Because I guess trying to research you, did some Googling and found some of your results from the half marathon from 2009, 2010 sort of period, and you had some quite high level results. What made you, and then it looked like there wasn't much after that. What made you step back from that?
That was the hamstring injuries. I literally couldn't run. I literally couldn't run at all. And then also I was doing PhD. Unfortunately, had a parted ways with my ex, moved from Palmerston North. I was over in Tauranga, still running a bit, but able to run a bit, but I never got back up to where I was going. The hamstrings just couldn't take it. And I think I just, from a mental health point of view, I needed to move on and do something different. And then in the role, I then moved on to Auckland, and in the physio job that I was doing up there at the time, I had a big gym and everything there, and I started training at another gym called Ludus Magnus, and it was just a completely different style, kind of garage style training, which, and I just really enjoyed it. And because running's very independent, you're on your own a lot of the time, and this was all, you're in there with a big group of people getting really sweaty and dirty, and it was great fun and stuff that I'd never done before, and again, all functional stuff. And I got, I really felt quite empowered by it, and it was a different kind of I was good at some of the stuff and then really crap at some of the other things, particularly like chin-ups and things like that. And I got really involved in that. And then And then I had both ankles reconstructed. So I was out. I had, it was 2016, started that. It was 6 weeks in a cast, and then for the left ankle, and then at the end of the year I had the other one done as well. So and then I just haven't been in events, haven't done any event yet, I haven't actually involved into events. I met my partner and he does ultras, so I've kind of been doing a lot of training with him, and then I'll be a support crew, or I'm out there running the last legs with him to bring them home to the finish and things like that. So I'm still, I've always kept very fit, but just finding different ways to do it. Okay. Yeah. I thought I'd have it. I did try. It was about 2018-19. I had to go at getting really good running fit again for half marathons, but hamstrings they just caught up with me again. I'm just like, no, it's just, I'm just over it. I'm sick of being injured. So I mix things up a lot more now.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So Ultimate Athlete, was that the first obstacle race you entered?
I think I've done Tough Guy once before, but just for fun. And I think when Tough Mudder first came here, I did that just for fun, with the team. But this was definitely the first competitive obstacle race I've done. It's good.
So how did you find Ultimate Athlete? I guess you've talked about it.
Well, what was really cool was that right from the start, they explained exactly what was going to be involved. You got to run around the base of the mount. Then here's all you didn't know exactly kind of how the obstacles work, but you could see where it was going to go, and then you had to run around the base of the mount again. So I knew, well, it's at the end of that, it's still a runner's race. You can't wing it running hard around the base of the mount. It's pretty undulating. It's not an easy run. The other good thing was that my mum lives in Tauranga, so it's only an hour and a half from here. And I saw that one of the obstacles was obviously the jerry can. So fortunately, I actually had a client I was traveling over to Tauranga to work for a bit. So I'd go to the mount, I'd go for a run around the base, then I'd do sprints up those stairs, the first part of the stairs, and then I'd stop and do push-ups, and I'd do 5 to 10 reps of that, which absolutely kills you. Then I'd jog back to the car and go get the jerry can out of the car, and then walk the jerry can sort of 500 metres up and down, because initially I thought it was on the sand. Please it wasn't, because that would have been really hard. Because it's not that it's heavy, it's just really awkward. But I did a lot of that, and up and down Mount Jury. Actually, there was one session I did where Mum came along, and I piggybacked Mum up and down Mount Jury, without letting her go. So I was just, I'd just make it up and go, right, this is a sort of about how, and then I'd always finish, a session with another run around the base, because that's what was going to be in the race. So I was pretty familiar with the terrain and how it was going to work. So no, it was good fun. I do wish that jerry can was 500 metres long in the race, though, as I trained for that. That was one I was actually confident in.
I know you and I were talking about that over messaging as well.
I understand. Like, so, if I'd known I needed one, I would have bought mine.
I kind of wish it was, actually. Because I was involved in the event doing officiating. And so I sort of got to see some of behind the scenes and talk to the organisers. And I know they were definitely planning it to be 500 metres. And all the sandbags were meant to be heavier as well.
Yes, I thought it didn't feel like it was 20 kilos. I mean, not that you're complaining, but...
I'm not sure what it was on the day. But apparently last minute they ran into problems with the weights. They couldn't get the sandbags, so they had to go lighter. And in the jerry cans, they got some, but not as many as they hoped.
Not as they needed, This goes to show the amount of organisation that's needed, and I'm sure that was learned from it.
So many
but no, it was a fantastic setup with, having the different distances, plus having the relay as well. And when I finished it, I said to my mum, "You've got to do this next year. You've got to do it." She said, "Oh no, we hope this." I said, "Mum, but you do it as a team. If you're gonna." I can do my race earlier on, then I can come and join you and help you get over the monkey bus, because you love it, So I think it would be a really cool thing to grow and promote.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know Ultimate Athlete's hoping to launch a national series.
Cool.
Events all around the country. That'd be awesome.
Where did they come from? Where did they get all the money? That was the very first thing I thought is where, when you saw the amount of prize money, so I don't know any event that has that kind of prize money. Where did they get that from? Because, their first time event, how did they get that kind of funding?
It's the same thing, me being into obstacle racing and talking to others online. Ultimate Athlete just sort of launched their website. And so we saw it and everyone was like, how, where did these guys come from? And they just launched massive scale. Yes, I don't know about the money, because they definitely have a lot of money behind them. And prize money is huge, but I don't know where the funding comes from. Obviously they have funding from somewhere. I do know that from talking to the organizers, I do know that they're in it, they want to launch a series and go long term. So their first one did lose money. But I think
this one,
they ran it out of us. But over the long term plan, they plan to make a profit. But I mean, they have, for them, this is their first obstacle race as well. The people I talked to was Gavin and her name's escaping me, but Gavin and his wife are the main organizers, and they have a whole team around them as well. But they have a background in other events. I think Gavin was a triathlete, like a top level triathlete when he was younger.
All right.
And I heard that he was the event manager for it was like the emergency services games.
Right.
Probably look it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, a long time ago, when I worked in England, I worked for the London Fire Brigade, and I went as the physio with the Great Britain team to the World Firefighter Games, which is cool, which is really cool. So and to be involved in something like that you're not going to be, you certainly have your knowledge around you with that.
And I probably should look up my facts, but I know they're either linked to or they are involved in doing the like Bay Dreams and music festivals, and they have a background of working in events. They know what they're doing.
And probably have multiple companies or something running at the same time, so they can bounce off the loss or gain or whatever. I
believe so. And the race director of Ultimate Athlete is the race director of Ironman as well. So I've brought in a lot of people who know what they're doing.
That's nice.
I don't know where the money comes from, though. It's definitely
like tights. I'm coming.
Cool to see for New Zealand obstacle racing, though, that someone comes in and just ups the scale and building good obstacles and putting prize money on the line.
Absolutely.
And, I know as they plan to go along in years, they're wanting to build bigger obstacles, harder obstacles, and that would be cool to see.
Because even like, where do they store them? Like the inverted wall, and those are you're gonna have to pay to store them somewhere, and that's a long-term cost as well. These are just all the logistics and stuff. I tend to come to the top of my head. It's like, how are they doing this? That's cool. Well done.
So much behind.
Take a risk, I guess. Eh?
It's crazy to see. I mean, I don't know what the prize money is going to be for the rest of the Ultimate Athletes events. I don't know if they're going to keep it at that same
level or not,
or that the first event was just higher. But is that something that you would potentially go? I mean, if they did
to another one, absolutely.
Interesting. The podium.
Because it's also good to I guess when you do enter event, it does give you, you're accountable to your training then, so it does give you something A, to look forward to, and B, to, it's something to work towards, which is rather than just coasting along, which I probably have been doing for a little bit.
Did you do any penalty loops?
Do I do any what, sorry?
Any penalty loops?
Oh, yes. I came off the monkey bars. The day before, when we arrived, we went and had a look at when they were setting up the obstacles, and like I practice on the kids' playground monkey bars, but they're very short and the rungs are close together. And when I saw that one, all I went was, oh fuck, I'm not going to get across that, especially if you've got like slippery hands or anything. But I did give it an honest attempt, and I got across the low bit, and then it went up, and I was like, go up. And I came off, and I thought, I'm just not going to waste my time. Here's the penalty I'll run on. And fortunately, the penalty loop was pretty, it wasn't bad. It was just run around the sand, helping a log. It was all right. But it did that's where it was actually getting quite exciting from the spectators, I guess, because we ran around the base. So ran around the base of the mound, and right from the start, and so I'm not going to sprint on the stand at the start because that's just dumb. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go out full at the gate. but reasonably confident in my running abilities. And of course, everyone just stormed off. And I think after that sort of settling period, I was in around, I think maybe sixth. And I just, it was what it was. But then by the time we got to the, I didn't change my pace or change my effort at all. But by the time we got to the end of the mount, I was in the around for the first time, I was in third. And then caught up to, I forgot her name, the little English girl. I think she was in Coast to Coast. Caught up to her and then passed her, and then I did gain on her, which was great, but I didn't know how far. But Bevan, my partner, and I had friends out there were screaming at me that, I knew Lydia had come off the monkey bars as well. But they said that this girl that was in third, she didn't come off the monkey bars. So that meant she didn't have to do a penalty loop. And so I'd gotten far enough ahead of her, but when we finished the penalty loop, I was still ahead of her, but she was only about 12 seconds behind. We were buggered by then. So now you got to go run around the mountain again, and that's hard, And I was like, oh no, she's going to catch. Is she going to catch me or not? But I didn't know. How good a runner she was or not, or what she had left. I thought, well, if I've gained that much, and if I did catch her towards, and was gaining on her anyway, hopefully I'm going to hold it off. Unfortunately, I think I finished about a minute ahead of her, but that's where it did get exciting because she didn't have to do a penalty loop. So there was a little bit going, oh no, I want to stay in front of her. So yeah, nice. But yeah, I didn't see her, so it was all right. I did look back though a couple of times during the run around the base. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no, that was all right. Yeah, because compared to, because I think I've looked at, we literally just booked yesterday flights down to Queenstown for the Alpha Challenge, and we're going to stay down for 10 days down there, which will be great. And so it'll be great. That event again looks more, when I say compared to say Spartan, it looks more accessible, because you can see what they're doing. They look like they're easy to contact and all the rest of it. And some of the obstacles look similar, but then there's lots of different ones, some that look similar to Spartan as well. But they've got the 30 burpee challenge, so I'm like, right, well, I'm gonna have to just keep working on burpees because I'm sure I'll fail at least one of them, and that's all right.
Yeah, Alpha Challenge looks good.
Yeah, because that'll be the second year, isn't it? I think this year.
I believe so, yes. Yeah, I'll be down there as well. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, cool. I mean, Wanaka in December, who wouldn't want to go?
Yeah.
Isn't that more appealing?
It'll be amazing down there. It's good to hear your thoughts on... Oh, sorry, it's good to hear you talking about that you in the top three and the wristband and the penalty loop.
Yeah.
The tactics that brings in, and because part of my role officiating was I helped Ultimate Athlete develop the rule system.
Okay.
So it was fascinating because comparing it to the other main rule set for obstacle racing, which is the Spartan style of burpees. Spartan uses it, and then a lot of racers copy it, like Alpha Challenge, and there's also some others down south. There's Wairua Warrior.
Oh, yeah.
I think Wanaka Dash may do it as well.
Okay.
But talking to Ultimate Athlete, we were trying to talk them, they could use this rule system, but the idea of the wristbands and the penalty loops is what is used by the International Federation.
Right.
They're just developing internationally, and they're trying to create the sport. But it's interesting, but that's so I've never seen the rule system in action before. But just hearing feedback from some of the people internationally who have seen it, that's what they were saying, was that it does create more options for the athletes, because you have whereas the burpees aren't visible. You fail an obstacle, you do the burpees, but then if an athlete sees you afterwards, they don't know that you've done it. Whereas having the wristbands on, it brings in a layer of strategy where you can see that they've got one wristband, two wristbands.
It did. I definitely wasn't going to waste my time, and I did say right from the start, I'm not going to waste my time trying to do the monkey bars. If I come off once, I'm not going to waste my time going back and try it again. Here's the band, I'm off. And just take the risk, because I'd be there for hours. I probably still wouldn't get it. And if you're puffing anyway, and you don't want your heart rate to drop too much, and if you've got sweaty hands, and if you've never done it before, in a race probably isn't the time to try it. So the bands were good. I'd say the penalty, it wasn't that hard. I don't know how long it probably, or how far, or how long it took us, but fortunately it was enough for me to still stay ahead of third. The one thing though that my mum mentioned when we got home, because we had all these bands, is like, are they recyclable? Were those bands recyclable? Because there's thousands of them. Where were they going? Because I didn't keep them. They kind of went in. The bin, which we kind of thought, oh shit. But yeah, so that was one thought. So what do you do with them all? So it could be, or are they, we say recyclable, so use them this year, at the end, give them all back to the organisers so they can wash them or whatever and can use them again next year or for the next event. So you're not creating new ones all the time. That would be really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if they're recyclable, because they probably would have went through hundreds or thousands of them.
Yeah. If you had 3 each, I definitely think that would have been something to consider.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good point.
It's fine. I mean, they were comfortable enough. They didn't get caught on anything.
I don't know. What about the those like tough papery plastic bins? I don't know if those are recyclable either. But again, rules perspective, that's what the International Federation.
We were given one of those, and they put them on, but there was never any. We were never checked, are you wearing it? So I didn't quite know what the purpose of that was.
I'm not sure.
So I fully won't work.
Yeah, I wonder if those are recyclable though, because I know bringing in the rule set.
They're kind of waxy over the top, aren't they? Yeah.
They might not be, Yeah,
because one thing they do for the trail running events and stuff they do now is that there's no paper cups at the aid stations. You've either, or most of the time you'll have your hydration pack with your bladder, or you'll have your bottles at the front, but otherwise you've got to bring your own disposable. It's just from a recycling type thing, there's no disposable cups there, so that's a cool thing. There's lots of other rubbish, but it's one thing at least they can reduce down.
Yeah, I've been entering some of the exteriors in Wellington myself, the trail runs, but they're quite heavily into that. They have reusable cups you can buy, and they ask for your bib back if you don't want to keep it, and they can recycle them apparently. And,
that's right.
Yeah, interesting talking about that, because I was thinking from a rules perspective, I know the wristband system, the international rules, they recommend having those I don't know what you call them, but those papery waxy ones, and because there has been some problems internationally of athletes taking a wristband off, putting it in their pocket, coming up to an
cheating.
Cheating. Being like, I
Yeah.
lost all my bands. You can't take one.
Yeah. Here's my band. I actually want to do a penalty.
So those waxy ones that you can't remove it during the race.
Yeah.
But it brings in the sustainability perspective.
Yeah, that's right. Well, because there's
I never thought about as well.
Another one they do at must be the Taupo half Ironman, I think. The run is 3 laps, 3 7K laps. And so every time you go through one lap, you put a band on, you're given a band, so it's like a hair tie. It's like a big bubbly hair tie. It's light. It's like a big bubbly hair tie thing. And then so the first lap, it might be pink. Second lap, it might be green, so that if you've got the last one, which is blue or what have you, that you're coming into the finish. So those are other options as well, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. See if it changes going forwards.
Yeah. Be cool.
Yeah. What else did I write down on the questions? I guess entering Alpha Challenge, I was wanting to ask you about that, and you mentioned that. And Spartan, I know you're planning to enter Spartan.
So I haven't entered either yet, but now that we've booked for Queenstown, I'll definitely enter Alpha Challenge. That one does look fun, and I have been sort of looking up on the internet, like some of the obstacles that are there in Spartan, the education clips that they have on them, and sort of thinking, how they do that, because certainly the Spartan ones look very hard. I'm going to end up doing like 3,000 burpees or something like that.
Spartan's quite large. The monkey bars. I was going to say the monkey bars at Spartan are hard.
Sorry, what was that?
The monkey bars at Spartan are hard because they don't go up and down like Ultimate Athlete, but the bars are thicker.
Okay.
I don't know if they are scaffolding bars or they're closer to that thickness. So it's really hard on the grip strength, if you're not used to it.
Right. And then there's the difference if things are if the bar's powder coated or not. Like in a gym that might be powder coated or not. So it's a worry. And then the ones that are they're kind of like little hand, or that one that turns. There's like three things. Is it called the grinder? I think it is. And you don't do it from a long hand position. Be here to do it going across.
I never tried that one.
Practice it. Like, how do you practice that? Where do you go? I don't have buildings to jump off. So I haven't entered Spartan yet, and I would say maybe because of the they've already postponed twice now, and it's now moved to November, and there is actually an event, a trail run in Hawke's Bay, Kate Kidnipper's trail event the weekend after, and my dad's in Hawke's Bay and I haven't seen him for a long time, so we're actually thinking about going down and doing that instead. Plus, it's an event we haven't done, it's a way to catch up with Dad, so we might actually end up going and doing that instead, and then just focus on Alpha, and then at least Alpha I know will probably be harder than Ultimate Athlete. I think it's 12 Ks as well, so that's fine. It looks harder, so maybe I'm not quite ready for Spartan yet. Maybe next year. We'll just have to, we'll see.
It's a bit of a shame with the date changes and
and it's just finding out enough about like who else is the unknowns. Maybe it's just a bit of anxiety or something. But no, I think Alpha Challenge looks really good because it looks like a really good community-based one as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Rather than this big, massive global chain. So we'll see.
From what I understand, Alpha Challenge is the people behind it have gone over to Australia and Hawaii, and they've done Spartans there. So Alpha Challenge is sort of based on their experiences of seeing what Spartans done and bringing it to a New Zealand context, and I think quite community focused, like you were saying.
I think that's good. I think I also read somewhere that they've done it because COVID happened and we couldn't get out and do these trips, so let's build it at home. That should be good. Fingers crossed the weather will be good too.
Certainly makes it
harder. There's a bit of mud and swamp work to do there as well, which would be good. That can cool us down.
Yes. Fun.
We've actually done a couple of just for something different to do, a couple of orienteering events lately. We did just with the Waikato Bay Waikato group here. There were 2 row games that we had to go at, and then just the other week we went over to Rotorua for a 6-hour one. It was all through the Redwoods, which was great. You've got to read the Taupo map, and just me and Bevan did it together, and it's sort of as a team, you have your compass. So you're confident with covering the distance or whatever, but the whole map reading, that's a totally different ball game, and we decidedly average at it. We on the one in Rotorua, in 6 hours we covered 30 kilometres, which is cool. Yeah, it's fine. When you go back on our watches and see how much of that was actually moving time, 2 hours 50. So that meant we spent 3 hours 10 minutes trying to figure out what we were doing and where we were going. And there were a total of 60, I forget what they're called, markers that you got to go and swipe to say you've been there, and you got to plan your route to try and get as many as you can. And we managed to get 16 out of 60, and yet still covered 30 kilometres. Most people that got far more markers than we did, they still only covered only about 30 kilometres. So we were obviously going in all different directions, not really. But and that's probably good training as well, because the marker, it's not like they're on trails. While you might be following a trail, the marker won't be. It'll be down in a gully somewhere, and you've literally just got to go bush to get it and try and find it, and then follow a little creek all the way up, and then climbing up through those horrible vines, getting all through them. So that's been quite fun. Different. It's been fun. It's just a good way to get time on your feet and just be outdoors all day and in the bush. So we're not very good at it.
Be good fun though.
It is. It's every click. They had lots, and what was quite good, the last the one in Rotorua it's held every year. and they had two options. They had a 3-hour and a 6-hour event for the running one, but they had mountain biking one as well. So 3 and a 6-hour mountain bike. They had over 700 people there, and for every person that had registered, they put $2 towards the first line emergency response. So that was cool. It was good. Yeah, it's nice to see things like that.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Well, that's all my questions, I guess, obstacle racing. But yeah, it'd be good if you want to, I mean, it sounds like you've done lots of races and outdoor activities. And I mean, if you just want to talk about anything else you've entered, and I don't really know what to ask you about it because I don't know what you've done, but it sounds like you've got some cool experiences.
Yeah, we love, I think mentally it's great. I mean, you only get one life, don't you? So you want to explore, and I want to be able to explore as much as you can. Just getting out, hiking the mountains, being out, just seeing it is awesome. So we went to Nepal. Actually, the first one I went to, going up to high altitude, I went to Peru in 2015, I think it was, on my own. It was before I'd met Bevan, and I was living in Auckland at the time, but I went to Peru and did mountain hiking through what's called the Huaywash region, where it was about 10 days, you're tenting, 10 days, there's no shower. You don't have a shower for 10 days. It's a lot of wet wipes and tenting, and it was over a region where there were about 10 or so mountains that are over 6,000 meters high, which are obviously a lot higher than what we have here. And we weren't summiting them, but you were going in and around all those passes, so you were getting up very high. And I did develop altitude sickness, and so you're overcoming that battle as well, because I can tell you that the headaches with altitude sickness are just insane. They're horrendous. But that was great. What are you doing all day? All you do is you get up in the morning and it's freezing cold, but that's all right. You're in your hiking gear, you have a feed, you pack up your tent, you put your bag on and you walk, and that's your day. That's it. And then you're just stopping and looking at everything along the way. I mean, it's brilliant. And then, so I did that, and then we went to Nepal in 2018. So in Peru, I think we got up as high as, I think it was about 5,200 meters, which is about the height of base camp in Everest, at Everest. So Nepal, obviously I wanted to go higher than that. But it's also at the same time, we didn't want to go to base camp Everest because it's really commercialized, it's really busy. I think it's been abused quite a bit. So we did some research and found another area and another peak called Mira Peak, where you still fly into the crazy little airport, which is a very, very, very short runway. And if they get that wrong, they just go straight to a brick wall. I think the runway is only about 200 meters long. It's really short, but it's really cool. And that's Lukla. And obviously Syria and Hillary was instrumental in getting that airport up and running. And so you land in Lukla, and if you're going to go to base camp Everest, you go left, but we went right and went to Mira Peak. And so we were there for the whole trip. That whole trip, I think, was about 2 weeks, and it probably took us about 9 days to go from Lukla, which was at about 2,800 meters elevation, I think. And then you got to really gradually do it. So I think it took us about 9 days to get up to 5,000. Unfortunately, I did get altitude sickness again, but managed to sort of on the way, but managed to dampen it down. You get pretty anxious after being sick with altitude sickness, though, but at the same time, you don't want to go home either. You want to keep going. And so there you're in the tea huts. We stay in tea huts along the way, which are just made of brick. What kind of tends to happen is a family, because they're permanent structures, but it's not all year round because it's the monsoon season. So the people of Nepal, it might be a family, it might be husband and wife, it might be sisters, or they'll be in those tea huts for the whole season, and then they go home. So like our guide, for example, he's taking us all through the season. So he's away from his family that whole sort of 6 months of the year. But then for the next 6 months of the year, he's home with his family and he doesn't need to work because he's already kind of done his bit. So yeah, stay in the tea huts, and the food is, it's very bland, but you don't care. You have a lot of rice, a lot of sort of salty, watery, soupy type things. And the Nepalese food is dal bhat, which is like a lentil mix. So yeah, as long as it's hot, and there was enough energy, you were stoked with whatever you could have to eat, but you certainly didn't get any protein, and there wasn't many vegetables. So by the time you got home, you're pretty malnourished. So those are all things to consider, and try and prep for before and afterwards as well. And anyway, so then I think we got up to, once we got to 5,000 meters, that's the last time you're in a tea hut, and after that you go up to the camps when you're in the tent. So the first base camp was at 5,400 meters, I think. So that was fine, got there no problems. And then the next day we were on the snow, and it's just stunning. We're walking up this sort of, it probably wasn't that steep, but when you're at that high, just taking 20 steps, 20 slow walking steps, you just have to stop and rest. You cannot keep going. You're like, I'm going to do 25 steps, see if I can do 25, and you get to 20 and you just stop. You have to stop and reset and go again. And that's how it goes all day for like 6 hours, just up this slope. And so, yeah, that's really fascinating. And yet still the whole time you've got these massive mountains. No matter how high you go, these mountains still higher than you. So the scenery is just stunning. And then in a tent, and unfortunately at the high camp, I got very, very sick. So they were going to take me down, but it had taken us that long to get here, and Bevan was still okay. So it got quite emotional because the pain's horrendous, and there was nothing else we could do. And I said, just give me 1 hour, please just give me 1 hour. And if I'm no good, if I'm still no better in an hour, then we'll go down. And the guide said, all right, but you must have some garlic soup. So different regions have, we will take a pill called Diamox, which is a diuretic, which is supposed to help with altitude sickness. Whether it did, I don't know if it did or not. Maybe it would have been worse if I hadn't taken it. But in Peru, they'll chew on the coca leaf. Or have coca tea, and in Nepal it's garlic. So they gave me a cup of garlic soup, which was literally, I probably had about 3 bulbs of garlic in it. It's the most disgusting thing you've ever tasted. And of course, the headache's so bad, you can't handle light, you can't sit up on your own. So I've got Bevan behind me propping me up just so that we could try and get this soup down me. It was horrendous. But fortunately, anyway, the pain did sort of settle just a tiny bit, so we didn't have to go down. But I had to stay at the high camp. I wasn't allowed to go up to the summit. But Bevan got onto the summit, which was at 6,400 meters, and that was pretty awesome. Yeah, I'd love to go back and try it again. I've got a few ideas which will hopefully help me not get altitude sickness the next time around. But yeah, it's just a fantastic experience. Fantastic. Really cool. When you meet cool people, and it's just really cool. I love that stuff. So a bit limited, obviously can't do it, can't do that at the moment because we're stuck here. It's a bit of a shame. So we'll go down went to Arthur's Pass over Christmas and did Avalanche Peak's a great day trip right out of Arthur's Pass. Kia at the top there. It's just a good day climb. It's tough, but it's a good day climb. And we did Mount Cloudsley and Mount Eunice. That was a big day. And then, when we go down to Wanaka this time, love to do Mount Difficulty. There is a race where they race up that, but it's in June or July. I don't really want to go up a mountain in Southland in June or July. It's too cold or horrendous weather. And then there's Mount Mueller Hut and Mount Oliver up in the Aoraki, Mount Cook region, which I'd really like to get up to. So it's a cool new hut there. So we'll try and get that done.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
sounds awesome. One day I got to do something like that.
Yeah, it's cool. Just pat the kids on your back. I love it.
Try and get outdoors with the kids, but no, it's definitely something on my bucket list is to try and explore. I used to live in New Zealand, explore just New Zealand mountains and ocean.
There is a lot. And the diversity. The diversity North Island compared to the South Islands, and just incredible too. The mountains of the South are just, they don't even compare to the likes of Ruapehu or Tongariro. They're just completely different. We're pretty lucky here.
Yeah, absolutely. Because my wife's American, and
cool.
we might end up moving over there one day. But I feel like living in New Zealand, I haven't explored all these. Like doing the Great Walks would be nice, and going to some mountains, and I just feel like I'm not taking full advantage of all these natural just
Yeah,
we have. And
well, and that is it. And I think it's just great for your mental health as well, just being out in the bush. You know, you say you go for a run, you know, like last night it was just, you know, it's a Friday, so just a run around the river paths here, but you know, yep, it's good, feel better. But if that same run had been in the bush, I'd be feeling even better as well. And that's actually something I do with my my clients, because, you know, people who are off injured, or there's always other stuff going on in their life, and the whole mental side of things is a big thing. And so to get them consistent with exercise, you know, it's very rarely now that if they need functional rehab, that I'll actually put them in the gym. We'll go to the lake and we'll walk around the lake, but look, there's a park bench. I can show you how to do modified push-ups or squats on and off a park bench. And there's just loads of different things you can do. There was actually what I did with one client, actually. There's a permanent orienteering course at the Hamilton Gardens here and at the lake. So what we did is we printed off the map. We had to go and find these permanent, you know, it's reasonably easy if you can't find them, but they've all got different numbers and they're not in a logical order. And I said, right, so we've arrived at number 18, so that means we've got to do 18 squats, you know, and so you just mix it up that way. So rather than just walking and finding these things, it's like, right, and that number is telling you you've now got to do that many push-ups. So you're using your natural environment. You don't, and showing people you don't need a gym, as long as you find something that's consistent, that you can do, that's easy. You can just put your shoes on, go out the door, or you're exploring a new area, because there's loads of, you know, different dock walks or waterfalls to go and see. And then of course the other thing, like on Thursday what I did was, I was running a bit short on time. There's a couple of very steep streets here, probably not like steep ones in Wellington, but did a 4K easy run, and then it's about 250 metre long steep street. This gets steeper and steeper, so you run hard up that, do 12 push-ups at the top, jog back down, repeat that 5 times, and then jog a couple of Ks on to the other steep street and did the same thing. You're screwed at the end of it, and then you get home and you feel great because you've done a hard workout. But it was functional, and I got a lot done, and with nothing, just the ground. It was someone's driveway. I stopped and did the push-ups on. I don't care. No, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in modern life, you know, everyone gets so caught up in the latest gadget and equipment, and they think they need the gym and the, you know, all the specialized training equipment. And for me, it's like humans have been around thousands or tens of thousands or whatever it is years on Earth, and
we didn't need it.
Exactly, yeah. We didn't have all this modern equipment. But we sort of lost it today. We sort of lost that idea that you could just go outdoors and run up a mountain, I don't know, do pull-ups on a tree, and
and exactly, climb a tree. You just don't fall out of the tree. Please. No, I think it's good when you can show people that. And then of course, if I might have finished with the client, then they'll text me and say, hey, I just went and did this, and I'm like, yeah, that's sweet, that's so pleased you did that, especially if it was raining. It's like, yeah, well, you're gonna get sweaty anyway, so that's good. It's good.
Because I was I used to know someone who I ran Tough Mudder with him, and Tough Guy and Gal, and because he works in don't quite know what his position was, but he says he works on the mainstream health system, like for the DHBs or the hospital. He's quite I think he said there's only a handful of them in the country where it's preventative health. So they're bringing in alternative views into the system. So he was quite interested in obstacle racing, and the idea that getting some clients involved in obstacle races where it's functional, it's outdoors. And he was interested particularly in the mental health aspect where you're outdoors, you're in the sunshine, the elements, and you're doing something hard, you're doing something uncomfortable.
That's right. And
once you do it, you get that awesome
that's right. And I think that's another thing is actually exercise is medicine. I mean, it's just in fact we know it is for all sorts of different conditions. But I think another thing is that people, you see us, and they say, oh, I'm not going to do it, say ultimate athlete, for example. Oh, I can't do that, it's way too hard. It's like, it's only as hard as you will allow yourself to push. If I walked around the mount instead of ran hard around the mount, it would have been loads easier. It would have taken a lot longer. But it's teaching people that when you push yourself, you do need to push yourself, and it does hurt. It's painful, but that's how the body adapts. You've got to push it through a bit of pain, the right kind of pain, in order for the body to adapt and therefore get better, whether it be stronger or better cardiovascular or whatever. But I just don't think people understand that. And then the other barriers, things like, for example, when I was working at the hospital, not there now, it's only 5 k's away, and parking's impossible at the hospital. So I'm not going to drive and pay to park at the hospital anyway. So I bike. And fortunately, I was in a role where, I was doing research, so I was kind of behind the computer. But the 5k bike to work, I'm just sort of cruising, but loads of people won't do it because, I'll get sweaty and there's nowhere to have a shower. It's like, who cares if you're sweaty? You're sitting behind a computer. You'll be fine. I don't care. And, but I can't I have to pack a bag with extra shoes or whatever. I'm like, so what's that? Why is that things like that are real barriers for people. And then of course the other thing was people are literally just too scared to ride on the roads, and I can kind of understand that a bit more. But people's resistance to move and resistance to, or just more that they're just not aware that it's actually okay to push hard and breathe hard. And so then I'll demonstrate, I'll just be in the office and I'll bang out 30 burpees or something just to show them. And then they look at me and go, I just don't want to do that. It looks painful. It's like, but I get to eat twice as much as you do. That's the good thing about it. Not worry, because I've extended it. But I think there's teaching that side of the importance of exercise. Actually, you do have to push yourself a bit. Puffing is okay. It's a good thing. And your lungs are screaming at you, but it's only temporary, and it means the next time you do it, it's probably going to be a bit easier, or you'll get up there a bit faster, or you may be able to do a couple more reps. I think there's a big learning thing there for most of the population too, but that's just my observation.
I agree 100%. Yeah. Yeah. Well, got my kids banging on the door, so I should probably head off, but
I think thanks for chatting. It's really cool. And so it'd be cool to get the sport growing, even if like something like having putting about like a training weekend or something. I mean, because from my background as well as your training aside, I was creating my own stuff, and I'm prescribing exercise, and not so much plans, but prescribing ideas of how people can move and good movement patterns and stuff. So I'd be keen to be involved in helping grow the sport if there's things that are going ahead.
It's still quite small in New Zealand. I mean, I'd love to see it grow. It's getting there.
Get the Olympics.
That's hopefully the goal one. That's the thing with the Ultimate Athlete as well, just trying to get in the Olympics globally. The Spartan Race was trying to do it.
Right.
The creator of Spartan Race, one of his life missions is to get it in the Olympics.
Oh wow!
But they quickly realized that Spartan couldn't be in the Olympics because it's a brand.
It's a brand.
So he helped set up the World Obstacle, which is the international federation.
Cool.
Now trying to get in the Olympics, and to be honest, it may be like a 50-year sort of journey. Like it may not be anything soon, or it could be.
That's skateboarding.
There's no way to know. So the Olympics would take the international federation rules and use that. So for Ultimate Athlete, we're using that rules already. So it's pretty cool to see that. In New Zealand, the bringing in that potential Olympic rule set into the New Zealand context is cool. And hopefully, if people want to experience that, they can try it out at Ultimate Athlete.
Yeah.